Okay, so we went over in the last episode on how to build your character, your puppet's personality, who they are. This episode, we're going to talk about some of the basics of puppetry. Now, a good way to practice is to get you some eyeballs like this. The little loop right here goes right around your finger unless you practice. It also helps you entertain children at events. You can get these, you can order them online. Just make sure you don't order them for children unless you got small hands. I've made this puppet's mouth that I'm going to show you some of the tips and tricks. Now, the first thing we need to do is you need to decide which hand you're going to use. If you're going to use your left hand, or if you're going to use your right hand. If you use your right hand, most people are right-handed. However, that does mean you're going to be controlling the hand of the puppet with your left hand. You may not have the coordination to do that. It may be easier to use your left hand as the mouth and the right hand to control the puppet hand. Of course, it also may change depending on your puppet stage or the amount of people you have behind your puppet stage. You may want everyone to be right-handed, so that way everybody's going up on the same side and leaning to the right side. You kind of lean a little bit to the side that's doing the puppet. So if you got left and right hands, it could cause problems. So once you've decided which hand you need to decide if you're going to do a standing position, a sitting position, or a kneeling position. Now, standing position, I'm sitting on a stool, so we're going to assume that this is the standing position. Now, with a standing position, you want your arm to be straight up. Now, you want your arm to be all the way straight up because you want your shoulder to carry the weight of the puppet. You don't want your wrist and your elbow. They're going to be doing a little bit of work. You will get plenty of arm exercise from this. But in general, you want your shoulder to be carrying the weight. Now, I'm going to flip to the side view here, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. This is the stool. Get you some knee pads, some good knee pads, if you're going to be doing puppets often. Because if you do puppets often, you want good knee pads. Because you're going to be going down on your knees. It is much easier to do puppets on your knees. I know it hurts. Believe me, I know. That's why I got knee pads. And even with knee pads, it still hurts a little bit. But it's much easier to do puppets on your knees. Because one of the things you can do is you can move easier. You can turn around. Now, the exception to that is if you have like a piano stool. This is not a piano stool, it's too high. But a piano stool that spins, because then you can spin, this doesn't spin. So I'm simulating spin. So you have to decide which position is better, and that usually depends on one, who's doing the puppets, how long the song is or the skit, and three, your puppet stage. Now, these are not really puppet stages. As you can see from the side view here, this is just a curtain rod for pictures. And same thing with these backdrops. They're just picture backdrops. But it works as a puppet stage. So we're going to now talk about the basics. There's several basics that we need to discuss. There's 5 that I can think of. There might be more. You could combine some of these. There might be less. Who knows? But I'm going to talk about 5 basics. The first one is entrance and exit. Now, I'm going to switch to the actual puppet so that way you guys can see. Now, from the side, you can see I have a table here to hold my props. This comes in very handy behind the stage, so you don't have to reach all the way down to pick up props or puppets. Okay, so we have our puppet here, and I've chosen I'm going to use the right hand. I'm going to use my left hand to control the puppet's hand, and give him a little spruce. His hair is already crazy from the last episode. So, entrance and exit. Puppets don't just pop up. I mean, you can, but you got to make it part of the skit. Like, they're asleep and or maybe they're on an elevator or an escalator. You really don't want to just pop your puppet up if you don't have to. What you want to do, if you can, not everybody can, and sometimes you don't have time, or, it's just not appropriate in the song, is you want to walk up. Like the puppet's entering a stage. Like a puppet stage. How about that? Now, number 2 is height and position. This puppet is too low. He can barely see over the stage, and the kids are just going to see his head. And the shorter kids may not see him at all, because from the lower the angle, the more he disappears. And the higher the angle, the more you see. So, height and position. Now, I'll show on the side view height and position. If it's too low, then you're always on the stage. If it's too high, they could see your arm. Now, you can't see my arm on this puppet right now because he has this long shirt. But here's another tip. Black. Yes, if your stage is black, this is a backdrop. It can be black or it can be white. But whatever your color of your stage is, you generally want it black. And then you can add any kind of decorations to the front of the stage that you want. But black helps with this. If you have your puppet too high above the stage and you have a black backdrop, your shirt will blend in. So wear black if you can, if you're going to be doing puppets. It also helps a lot with black light because you don't want a white shirt hanging out of the bottom of the puppet during a black light song. So height and position. I got to get back to that. That's number 2. Position. So we talked about you don't want your puppet too low. You don't want your puppet too high. Generally, you want your puppet where your puppet's belly button would be. And generally, that means having your elbow right below the stage to have it correctly. On average size humans and average size stage, you want your elbow to be right below the stage, not on the stage. That's a no-no. We don't put our elbow on the stage. See how it wiggles and wobbles? And if it's not sturdy, it's going to fall. Then you're going to be sitting there with your puppet in front of the kids, and you got to try to cover up, but they're not supposed to see. So, height and position. You don't want your puppet too low. You don't want your puppet too high. You want it right at the belly button usually. And then you don't want it too close, and you don't want it too far. Because the further back it gets from the stage, the harder it is to see on the kids' level. So now we're going to talk about lip sync. To talk about lip sync is number 3. These are the 5 basics. Number 1 is entrance and exit. Number 2 is height and position. Number 3 is lip sync. Now I'm going to change from the puppet back to the learning puppet. Talk about lip sync. Okay, so how you hold your puppet's mouth is very important. Because if you just have your hand flat like this, then you tend to do the flipping of the lid, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. We don't want that. You generally want the lower jaw to be the one that moves, because on humans, our lower jaw is what moves. And like I said before, lifelike. We want this to look as similar to life as possible. So you want them to have like a human-like characteristic. You don't want them to be totally alien, even if they are an alien. So, lip sync. The easiest way to do lip sync is to say the word yourself. Because if you're saying the word yourself, you know when to open your mouth and you know when to close your mouth because you are already doing that. Now later on we'll touch on some other things like, how much do you open your mouth? Okay, so if you practice, you'll look like a weirdo, but it will help. You don't have to have a practice puppet. You can just use your hand if you need to, because you can still see the lips of your puppet hand while you're talking. And so you generally want to open your hand when you open your mouth and close your hand when you close your mouth. Number 1 was entrance and exit. Number 2 was height and position. Number 3 was lip sync, which we just covered. And number 4 is eye contact. Eye contact is important with the puppets. But most of the times, puppets are utilized for children. So children are shorter than us. Unless you're a full-grown adult that's short, no hating. So they're generally low. Even if they're sitting in a regular chair, you don't want to be looking straight out. You want to be looking slightly down. You want to make eye contact with the children, the people that are listening to the puppets. And right now, My people is you guys. So I have the puppet looking at the camera. I don't have it looking up. I don't have it looking down. I don't have it looking off to the side. I don't have it just staring. We'll talk about this later on. There's some puppets we've got some names for. Number 1 is entrance and exit. Number two is height and position. Number 3 is lip sync. Number 4 is eye contact. Number 5 is believable actions and movements. I will show you what some of this looks like, because this one is actually easier to show you with a puppet and not the practice rig that I have set up. Okay, so we have our puppet, and we've talked about entrance and exit. We've talked about height and position. We've talked about eye contact. We've talked about lip sync. And now we're going to talk about believable movements. Remember, we want this all to look lifelike. We don't want it to look strange. So if your puppet's moving smooth, moving its neck, which is your wrist, and moving its body, moving its hands, that's lifelike. It looks similar to what we are expecting humanoid shapes to be. Now, if your puppet's being spastic, that doesn't, kids, no, they can't focus. It's just too fast. And so you want it to look lifelike. That also means don't do stuff like, he's not live, he's dead. He's not lifelike, he's dead-like. You don't want that. Don't hang over the stage. I know you're trying to make eye contact with the kids, but you can do that even without looking like you're dead. You want to look lifelike in everything you're doing with your puppet, even if your puppet is a prop. So you don't want it to be like, and if you're going above the stage, remember, black gloves will be good too. If you're holding it from the front, you're hiding the prop. You don't want that. So say this is my prop. It's going to come in, puppet's over here doing its thing, blah, 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 blah. This is the scripture of the day, blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, my prop. Thank you. But if it's moving all unlifelike, if it's going, how can the kids focus on that? Remember, we're dealing with kids whose attention span, not very good. So lifelike. So I'm going to do some lifelike examples. And I'm going to combine those 5 basics. I'll do it with the puppet. That way you guys can see what the puppet looks like when you're following the 5 basics. Now, the first one is hello. So, puppet walks up. Oh, hello kids. How you do today? Me doing good. You do good? Creature always do good. Always doing good as creature. Okay, so Acts chapter 2, verse 38. Then Peter said unto them, repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Jesus Christ, for the remission of sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost. Yeah, see, I'm doing height, I'm doing position, I'm doing movements that are lifelike. I am also doing a lip sync and eye contact, and creature not know number 5. What was number 5? Oh no, creature can't remember. Number 1 was entrance and exit. Number 2 was height and position. Number 3 was lip sync. Number 4 was eye contact. I'm looking at you right now. Yes, you can tell I'm looking at you because I'm not staring at sky. And believable actions and movements. That's number 5. Okay, so we're going to go to the next part now. We've talked about the 5 basics. So now we're going to talk about some things not to do. Now, this is not all the things not to do. That's too long of a list for me to get into. And this is not even maybe the simplest, but these are some of the things I've seen people do. That makes, I have literally seen kids stop watching when people do stuff like this. So these are some of the things that I've noticed that people do that you shouldn't do when you're doing puppets. Number 1 is Mr. Floppy. He's not moving his thumb. He's just moving the top fingers. And so that makes the top of the head, we call this flipping the lid. And so we don't talk with the top of our mouth flopping backwards. And so we don't want our puppets to do that. And the easiest way to do that, to stop the flipping of the lid, to tell Brother Floppy to go away, the easiest way is to cross your fingers. Now you may have to do 3 fingers. I don't know. Maybe you have to do 2. It usually stops you from flipping your lid. It gets rid of Brother Floppy. It causes you to move your thumb, which is the lower jaw. Now the next thing that I've noticed a lot of people do is they chomp their words. It doesn't look natural. You don't want to chomp your words. You want to move your mouth like we move our mouth. Smooth, fluid, not chompy. We're not robots. You don't want to be Brother Delaney. All right? Brother Delaney always speaks after the words of the song start or stop. You don't want to be Brother Delaney. You want to move your mouth when the words are moving, when the puppet's talking, and not when the puppet's not talking. I have seen people, they just get to moving their hands, and they're not even talking. The puppet's just up there, and the kids are like, what is he saying? We can't hear him, because he's not saying anything. Okay, so we've talked about Mr. Floppy, Mr. Chomp, Brother Delayed, and now Sister Whisper. Sister Whisper whispers like this. You don't have to whisper like this. If you're whispering like this, you're doing something wrong, because you don't open your mouth really wide when you're whispering. When you can change the amount that you open your puppet's mouth, lot, little, you can change it, and that lets the kids know if you're whispering or if you're yelling. So if you whisper, you want to open your puppet's mouth a little bit. And if you're talking really loud, or yelling, or singing, you want to open your puppet's mouth wide, because we open our mouths different, and we want our puppets to be the same. Remember, the 5 basics it's all about looking lifelike, looking as relatable as possible to the kids. So we've got Brother Floppy, Mr. Chomp, Sister Delaney, Sister Whisper, and then we got the Bird Watcher. This goes back to what we talked about before. Eye contact, number 4 on our list. So, eye contact. Some people, they're bird watchers. They're always looking up when they're using their puppets, because their wrist is, they're not used to bending their wrist. They're not used to that action. And so they just want to hold their hand straight. That'd be great if you was holding your arm up like this. That works. But I don't know if you're that strong. Maybe you're not. I'm not. I'm certainly not. So you have to have your wrist bent a little bit, which means people tend to look up or they tend to look down. Either they limp their wrist all the way or they're trying to keep it straight. We don't want Brother Bird Watcher. We're not out here trying to see the birds. The kids want to see the eyes of the puppets. They don't want to see birds. They don't want to see the snakes. Remember, eye contact with your audience, whether it's adults, whether it's children, whether it's the camera, or whether it's, you're doing puppets for the church, You guys were asked to go out. We're going to review real quick. Creature, will you help me review real quick? Oh, Creature, always help Charlie review. So, number 1 is entrance and exit. You don't want to just pop up. No pop-ups. No rising from the dead. Okay? You try to walk up. You try to walk down. Maybe you elevator, but if you elevator, it don't look so good. So, no pop-up. No rising from the dead. Don't just fall backwards unless it's part of the skit. It maybe you do skit and everyone yelling and it's scared the puppet and he falls. Grabs his heart. Something like that. So entrance and exit number 1. Number 2 is height and position. You want to be around my belly button, around your puppet's belly button. You don't want your head just to be hovering, and you don't want to see your feet sticking up like this. It does not look good unless you have a multi-bowl stage that is built for it. So, number 1, height and entrance. No, entrance and exit. Creature so confused. Entrance and exit. Height and position. You don't want to be too far away, and you don't want to be so close. So, number 3 is lip sync. You want to move your lips when your puppet. When your puppet, it does the talking. Creature does his own talking. You do your talking. When your puppet's talking, you need to move your mouth. So that way, see this guy here? He's speaking. And because he's speaking, I know when my mouth is supposed to be open and my mouth is supposed to be closed. So number 4, eye contact. Keep eye contact with the children if you can. Do not look up. Do not look down unless you're supposed to be looking up. Oh, look, there's a bird in the sky. Now I look up. Oh, look down. There's a snake on the ground. Oh, no, don't let it bite me. So you look at the children. You look at the audience. You look at the people. Or the camera. I'm looking at camera. Hello, camera. So, number 5 is believable actions. You want to move like a creature. Not like creature. Not like this creature. Not like me. You move like a lifelike creature. So, you don't want to be doing weird things like this. You don't want to be... I can't even do it. It's so hard for me not to be lifelike. Creatures lifelike. Make your puppet lifelike too. Because that's what these 5 basics is all about. Is making your puppet look lifelike. Not lifelike. I mean, it is a monster. But you want it to look a semblance of life. You don't want it to be so abstract that kids can't identify with it, because even subconsciously we identify with things that we recognize. And if something is moving in a way that we don't think it should move, we immediately have this little question mark in our brain. And you may not even have it consciously. That's the worst part. So you want your puppet to look a little bit lifelike, even if they have green fur, even if they have multiple eyes, even if they have one eye or they're a snake, or even if it's just a prop. Okay? So, thank you all for watching us. Thank you for joining us. And I think that's the end of the show. Episode, part, snippet, whatever we call it. What we call it?
Back to Sunday school.
Back to Sunday school. Welcome back to Sunday school. Go back to Sunday school. Get back in Sunday school. Come back to Sunday school. So many things. Back to Sunday school.
Joining us on this episode. Back to Sunday school. Back to Sunday school. Back to Sunday school.
If you've noticed, when I handle the puppet, I'm picking him up at the strongest point, which is his neck, okay? I'm not picking him up by his head, not picking him up by his arm. I'm picking him up by the strongest connection point to the body, which is the neck. Treat your puppets right, and they'll last longer. That's just a side tip.